Government College of Engineering, Aurangabad, is celebrating National Innovation Day. It's a great pleasure for me to introduce our speaker, Mr. Ranjit Deshmukh, on this auspicious occasion. Today, he is going to deliver a lecture on his amazing innovation of road bounce, which is a unique mobile platform for automatic pothole detection and reducing road accidents. This is a subject in which we should all be very deeply interested because it is very close to our heart. Every day we face so many challenges when we are driving on the road. Road bounce has received many awards, notably from Niti Aayog, from FICCI, US Embassy, Vietnam, and Singapore government. Mr. Ranjit Deshmukh has also featured on the popular TV show Shark Tank India Season 1. He is also a part of architectural team of NASDAQ to revive its back-end systems. Mr. Ranjit Deshmukh has also received the prestigious Maharashtra Government Excellence Award for its fastest growing startup. Mr. Ranjit Deshmukh has developed a psychometric analytic platform to reduce suicides and mental trauma of soldiers returning from war. He has patents on data-driven mental health, assessment systems, and rapid road safety assessment. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Mr. Ranjit Deshmukh. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Sir, you can start now.
Okay, wonderful. Okay, you can hear me okay, right? I mean, my voice is good?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is audible. Clear.
Wonderful. So, Hamire sir, it's my pleasure to be here at this point because, I mean, first of all, thank you very much for inviting me to this event. It's sincerely a pleasure because I belong to Aurangabad. I have spent my childhood there, and I had been a regular visitor to Government College of Engineering during my college days. So I really have that personal attachment to the city. And at the same time, I have spent most of my career into startups. So I believe that you being the innovation society, innovation group, my feedback can potentially help your students. I mean, whatever it can help, that will be fantastic. So I was asked to present today with road bounce, and I can see that already 50 people are there who have joined the call. So thank you very much, guys, boys and girls, for being here. I hope I can give you an entertaining presentation today. And today's presentation, I have kind of split into two parts. One is I'll briefly talk about my journey as an individual. And secondly, I'll talk about the product which we are working on right now. The first part, my journey is kind of important because you are probably at the age group of 20, 22, 23. I mean, whatever that young age is, and you guys are also thinking as to what will happen once you go out of the college and you join a job or you continue with a startup. What to do with all this energy and what to do with all these ideas in your mind. I mean, you can relate to my life as well because I was there where you were a few years back. And so that's why that first part is important to discuss exactly how the life moves after you go out of college. And the second part is more technical. It is more focused on what things you have to consider while working on anything innovative. I mean, it doesn't have to be a startup. Even if you are doing a job somewhere and if you are trying to do something innovative, then what are the things to consider? So that's how I have structured, and then we'll definitely open the forum for questions and answers. I would love to have this more interactive. You can put your questions in the chat section as well, if you have any. I'll try to answer one by one based on what your time permits. So guys, I have prepared a small presentation. So I'll probably share my screen, and then once the presentation is over, I'll switch on the camera again. Okay, you can see my screen, right?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, wonderful. So the theme today is kind of journey of a startup founder starting up and whatnot, whatever comes. I believe I have a few things to share with you because most of my career I have spent into startups. So Road Bounce is actually my third startup. I have done two startups before that. So let me just walk you through this thing. Essentially, for today's presentation, I am going to carry out this alter ego, story of this alter ego. Like we love to judge people based on the vehicles what they drive. कोई बंदा एकदम खतरनाक लेटेस्ट मोटरसाइकिल पे आता है, कोई बंदा पैदल आता है, and we have this notorious habit to judge a character based on the vehicle that person is driving. So for today's discussion, I'm going to take that as an example, as my career, to walk you through my life. So who I am? I mean, let's assume that I'm a little bit successful today. So what's my vehicle alter ego? Well, this is what I am. When I was doing my 11th and 12th, my parents proudly gifted me a second-hand Luna. Many of you may not know this vehicle, but it was a 40cc vehicle and it used to fail very frequently. And when the engine stopped, there was a makeshift way of pedaling this thing so that you can at least drive it as a cycle, which was extremely difficult. So every picture I am going to show you today is worth a few years of my life. So, I mean, if you can relate to this, you can relate to me. I mean, I was there. I was driving on this vehicle on the streets of Aurangabad, trying to find out as to what will happen next. Things got a little bit better when I moved for my graduation, and I'm going to introduce the elephant in the room right now. Many people think that I'm an engineer, but I'm not. I was extremely active into theater, music, so I had minimum attention to studies. I did my BSc. I could not get into government engineering college, of course. So I'm sure all of you are much more smarter and much more intelligent than me. So whatever story I'm going to tell you today, you can definitely achieve much more, than that. So during my graduation, I mean, I got onto this second-hand Bajaj scooter, uh, I think 100cc vehicle, two-stroke. And I had dreams, I wanted to do something new, I wanted to do something creative. I at least hope to have a fair graduation ceremony. Beyond that, I did not have any dreams. I mean, right now, I think your generation is much more smarter because you have clear idea as to where to go. I was quite dumb in that sense, and my basic objective was to have a fair graduation. However, somehow after graduating, I realized that I really have not learned anything. So I tried at different courses, and I was lucky to got into CDAC, which had only two centers at that time, one in Pune, one in Bangalore. And the Pune center was where those guys who developed supercomputer came and they were teaching the course. So I was lucky to got into that, into the first 80 what they have selected, and that actually changed my life. You know. One of my close friends usually say that कोई भी आदमी लाइफ में दो बार क्रांति करता है, एक बार around 25 years of age and second time is around 40s of age, 40 to 45. Other than that, you don't expect yourself to do any kranti in your life. So I think this was that kranti moment for me, and obviously my alter ego. So I had to sacrifice my scooter because I went to Pune to do this course, and I came down on road on my foot. So I remember walking from Shivajinagar to university every day for a few months to do that course. But that taught me a lot, like 6 months of rigorous training into software programming. So that was a wonderful phase in the life. And then I got a job as a software engineer, something what everybody dreams of nowadays, or at least for past few years. So there is a notion in the young generation that software engineers can buy any vehicle of their choice, well, which is true. When you are starting up with your career, you are getting money and you don't know what to do with that money. So Yamaha RXZ 135 was my preferred vehicle of choice. I moved to that. I bought it in cash, which was wonderful, very proud moment. And I was living my dreams. Right? Then after a few years, I went to Germany, and I'm talking about year 1998, I believe. So probably most of you were getting born at that time. So somehow in those years, there was a convention that if you're a software programmer and if you're working in the same company for more than 2 years, then there is really something wrong with you. Why are you not changing the job? Why are you not going to US? So I got an opportunity, and one of my friends said, "Okay, chalo, let's apply." We applied, we got selected. I moved to US, got back to where the humble background from where I started. So a person who has driven a Luna had no problems driving this car. This was a 20-year-old Honda Accord, and it used to open its eyes mechanically. So that was a fantastic thing. I bought it from a dying old lady for $1,500, and that was my vehicle of choice for initial few years when I went to US. Worked in different companies. Worked in a robotics company, in an insurance company, and then within a few years, I got my brand new Honda Accord 8-cylinder, uh, which was like dream come true. You know. So this is where I realized that essentially we all live in a fortune-telling world where we cannot predict our life for more than 5 years. I'll explain that to you. So like right now, if I ask you what you will become in your life, then whatever answer you give to me is probably valid only for next 5 years, not more than that. And if you want to validate that, go back 5 years in your life and think about what you thought at that time, what you will become. And right now, what you're doing, that's probably completely different than what you thought you will become. So we as humans cannot really predict future, and it goes on like this. And the material things, what we believe are our dreams, they can come to you very easily, if you try for it. So what next? I got a job in US. I got married. I have a Honda Accord. At that time, I was working with Nasdaq, and we were working in the World Trade Center towers. So that's when the planes hit the WTC towers, and the towers went down. We were lucky; we were going late to the office, so we were not in that building. But that was a big vendor shop, and I thought maybe it's time to give back something to the society. So I joined a startup in Chicago, again year 2000, and I basically convinced them that, boss, as long as I can find you right people, let me build the product, let me build the team for you. You shouldn't worry about where your offshore center is in Pune, Bombay, or Aurangabad. I guarantee you that I'll get you right people in Aurangabad. And that's how I came back to my mother city. And in that process, but what I did not realize was that this commitment or this sort of dedication has a price attached to it. You know. So when I came back, I had to obviously sell off my car in US, and I came back to Maruti 800, which was a brand new vehicle in our family at that time. So the commitment was costly. We lived through many difficult days. We didn't know whether this startup will fly or not. But within 5 years, we were working in C++ at that time. So you can imagine C++ developers who were a very costly affair. We hired those people in Aurangabad. We bought them from outside. We trained them locally. And ultimately, we had around 150 people working there, purely software development. when we got acquired. So it was a successful startup in a way that our competitor came and they bought us out. All the big brands like Harley Davidson, Sony, they were our customers, and we were serving them from Aurangabad. So you can imagine the kind of dedication we had from the people. So that was a fantastic journey. And obviously, due to the acquisition, after 6 years of chaos, I'm talking about 6 years of journey for that entire startup, I was back onto a Skoda Octavia petrol, proudly built in MS-20. You know, now carrying a Skoda vehicle, Skoda car of petrol was a big luxury at that time. And actually, just having that car also solved many problems for me. I mean, like when we go to a meeting, when somebody sees you getting down a good car, obviously the other person's reception changes. Now that person doesn't know that I spent my last 4 years in the Maruti 800, but that's fine. I mean, it's just a matter of impression. So it was a great exit, and I was trying to do something new. So I decided to, start another startup. So now this time we moved into healthcare space. I had a partner in US who was good in sales. Learning from past lessons, I sold my Skoda Octavia immediately because that was a liability. Who will continue paying for that big vehicle and all that petrol expenses? Came down to old golden Honda City, and I was preparing for my second startup. We built a nice product. We deployed it in US in San Diego. I personally had clearance of Department of Defense and FBI and all those guys because we were working with sensitive data of soldiers. But the startup could not fly. Now that came as a big surprise for us, and we were not ready for it. We thought that we are Superman. I mean, whatever success we had in the first venture, we can easily duplicate that success in the next venture because we know what to do. Right? But that didn't work out. The product we built was an excellent technical solution, but we could not sell it. And that came as a mental as well as financial shocks. And I guess you can guess the next slide. I was back to this. The car was pretty old at that time. And I had to realize that was the only constant thing in his life is change. You know. So life continues changing. Now imagine that one slide which I showed to you with a brand new Honda Accord in US. Remember that. 5 years down the line, I was back to a second-hand Maruti 800, which didn't, value more than few thousand rupees. Now, uh, so this was fantastic. I mean, we realized that we did mistake. We decided to shut down, and then I started with my third startup, right, which is Roadbox. Now, if you compare this journey with what you see today, like if you open up Times today, and if you go to the middle pages, besides the editorial, you can see a lot of success stories, which are very similar to this one on the left. That few young people had idea, they got funds, and they were successful. But that's only a story which is projected to you for their own benefit. In reality, your life as a startup founder or as any business founder goes through multiple stages. And when you are extremely hopeless, at that time you find the success. You know. So these stages is something what you should train yourself for when you are thinking of a startup. It's not easy as I have an idea, give me money, and we will be a successful company. It's much more than that. Needs a lot of commitment, lot of dedication, and you over the time you get a lot of new experiences. So you should be open to that. You know, I'm not trying to make you afraid, but essentially, if you embrace the change, then you will embrace the startup journey. So then the question is, if startups are so difficult, why do people do it? Now, sorry, just I mean, coming back to my original car uh, career story. So now I'm doing my third startup. I'm back to a brand new Vento, Volkswagen, and hope to buy an Audi or BMW in next few years. You can just hope. Now, in this startup, what I realized was in the first two startups, I was only a CTO. I knew how to build fantastic products, but I should also learn how to build business around that product. And that's a new learning for me. And in this learning, we are operating for last 5 years. We are doing a revenue of around 2.5 crore every year. Pretty much established. We have returning customers. So the future looks good with this. We have gone through our own troubles in doing that. So why do people do startups? I mean, if you look at this journey, so troublesome. I think the question is same as why do people go for trekking? I mean, what's there on the top of mountain? क्या करोगे उधर जाके वो खाली पड़ा हुआ मैदान है वहां पे इतना ऊपर चढ़ के जाना पसीना निकालना क्या करना है and I think the punchline would be this famous quote of mine that the joy is in the journey, not the destination. So when you are going to start with a startup, imagine that what you are starting up with is a journey. It's not the destination what you can achieve in next couple of years. So if you enjoy the journey, then there is point in doing something like this. So that's my story in a nutshell. Again, as I mentioned, I'm back here right now and hoping to go much beyond than that. So okay, so that was the first part, and second is I was invited to talk about road bounce, right? So that's my third startup which I'm doing right now. So let me switch to some formal screens and explain to you guys what we do at road bounce. So Hambire sir very clearly mentioned our objectives. We get a lot of potholes in India. But let's talk about some statistics around this. I typically start my pitch presentation with this meme that if you have ever done a face like this, then you probably know the importance of my software, of my startup. India is the second largest road network in the world, US being the first one. Now, let's talk about Maharashtra. So when I was planning for my third startup, I was meeting with different people. I met with a very senior guy from PWD who used to manage the road network of Maharashtra. And I asked him that, boss, is there any problem of yours which I can solve? I mean, don't tell me don't ask me what solutions I have. Give me the problem. I can probably come up with a better solution. So he gave me a good problem statement. He essentially said the same thing. Maharashtra has around 40,000 kilometers of roads. Now, if you consider both the sides of the road, then we have around 80,000 kilometers of road network. Right now, after every monsoon, after every rain, we get potholes. So how do we find out where are the potholes and which ones are to be prioritized? Now that's a fantastic question because we as citizens, we think that यार सामने गड्ढा दिख रहा है गवर्नमेंट को दिखता नहीं है क्या मुझे दिखता है लेकिन उनको क्यों नहीं दिख रहा है but the fact is there is no tool available today which can produce or capture this information at large scale and give it to the decision makers. So we thought that's a fantastic problem to work on. And more importantly, because other than road authorities, this information is also not there in Google Maps or Apple Maps or any other navigation software. This information might also be needed by ambulances or insurance companies, whatnot. So I think it will be great if we can capture this information at large scale. So we got excited with that problem statement, and that's how we jumped onto this problem. So how did we solve this problem? I'll come to that. So basically, the business description is, I mean, like every company, we also have a mission and vision. Our vision is to improve everything that moves, on the road. So experience of everything. That's the ultimate vision. And the mission is to capture the live road condition data worldwide and offer this data to other people so that we can solve their problems. So how do we solve this problem? Uh, we thought of IoT devices, we thought of drones, we thought of lidars, but then we realized that we have to keep it simple, something which can be scaled. So what we do is we capture the phone vibrations when you are driving the car. The idea is you start recording vibrations in your phone, keep the phone on dash of your car, and just start driving around. So based on how your vehicle vibrates, we figure out what is the profile of the road. Where are the potholes, where are the speed bumps. All that calculation is done on the phone itself because the phone itself is a computer, right? I mean, you get RAM, you get hard disk, you get internet connection, everything in that phone. So why can't we do all the processing there and just upload the data on the servers? So that was the idea behind it. And initially we developed something like a bump identifier. I mean, it would just capture where are the maximum bumps. But then we realized that that data is really not reliable enough. So we researched into it. We hired some road maintenance consultants, some vibration consultants, and we realized that there are certain standards which are followed internationally to profile a road. So now the software is a very scientific software which actually produces numbers as per standards published by World Bank, Indian Road Congress. We comply with that. But look at it from a business perspective. Now, because we keep this very simple, only app based, no additional hardware needed, we can scale it like anything. So, for example, we surveyed around 22,000 kilometers of state highways in Maharashtra. So, in less than 1.5 months. So, in the entire world, nobody has done this scale of survey. Why we could achieve it? Because we just hired 20 cars, we put our phones in 20 vehicles, and we ran them across different state highways throughout Maharashtra. So that way we could capture geotagged information everywhere. Now, this was not possible if I had a IoT device or drones or lidar. So we, from day one, we focused onto that to keep it simple and keep it scalable. So based on that technology, now what do we sell right now? First is for our customers in India, we sell road monitoring war room. Essentially for smart cities, municipal corporations, uh, PWD authorities, PMGSY, CMGSY, ZP, all these guys want to monitor their road network, but they don't have a way to do that. So we give them a continuous data feed from their road network, and we install a big screen in their TV, sorry, in their office, where all the engineers come very frequently, and then they look at their data on the map itself, and they can make decisions about budgeting, different official work, what they have to do. Now, this is a great thing for them because now they don't have to travel every road by themselves to see this information. All this info is collected remotely. So this is what we sell in India, working in different states and like Maharashtra, Karnataka, we did Madhya Pradesh, Bhopal. We also have a few customers in the US. Then the second thing we built in conjunction with Singapore government. Now this is interesting. So we went to Singapore government, we showed it to them, and they said, "Boss, Singapore is such a small country that in total we have only 3,000 kilometers of road. वहाँ पे pothole आता ही नहीं है. If there is a pothole, then we fix it. But all our cabling is underground. So internet cables, your video, data transmission, whatnot. All those cables are underground. Anytime there is cable work, we have to dig a trench on the road and we have to replace the cables and resurface it. So when we resurface, we don't have a way to capture what's the quality of the resurfacing. So can you come up with like a small robot war kind of thing, a small robot which you can drive by remote, and while driving it can just capture the road info. So we did that for them. This is a small 1 minute video. I'll just play it for you. Yeah, I guess little bit incomplete video, but I mean that's how it works. So you start again recording vibrations in the phone in the road bounce app. You put the phone in iris as we call it, and you just start driving it around, and it captures the riding quality, very precision quality. So I mean, otherwise, if you have to generate these numbers, you have to buy a machine which is worth 7 crore rupees, and we do the same thing using just a smartphone. So that was a fantastic. I mean, that was appreciated a lot. And then obviously now we are working on IoT devices for cars, where we can build something for B2C, right? For normal everyday consumers, everyday navigation requirement. So this is still in progress. This is a representative picture, but that's the next thing what we are working on. So that was in short about road bounds, and I'm ready to answer any additional questions you might have. But if I have to summarize all this, like I mean, I was thinking what I can share with you. If I have to talk about main three key points to start with. Let's say you have some idea and you believe that you can build a business on top of that idea, and you want to start with a startup. So what are the three key points you guys should be considering? So that's something what I had in mind, and I've listed down three things. The first most popular thing is you should focus on problem rather than solution. And I can vouch for this. You know, I have spent 10 years of my life just because I did not understand this statement correctly. There is a very popular saying in the startup world that most of the startups are basically solutions which are looking for problems. You know, if you understand that. So it's like saying कि मैं स्टार्टअप बना रहा हूँ. अच्छा क्या कर रहे हो? मैं एआई कर रहा हूँ. अरे ठीक है भाई एआई कर रहे हो लेकिन क्या कर रहे हो? नहीं एआई में आई एम डूइंग रिकग्निशन, पिक्चर रिकग्निशन, और वो उससे मैं आई कैन डिटेक्ट सर्टेन थिंग्स. ओके किसको बेचोगे? So this is the normal thought process in our case, and which is natural, you know, because we are engineers, we like to manufacture things, we like to produce things, we want to build something. So building something is always the first step for us, but that's wrong. You should first think of a problem, right? And when you validate the problem, I mean, you should validate it. So, for instance, I asked this PWD guy that without giving him any indication of what I do, I asked him, sir, is there any problem of yours which I can solve? And then he gave me a problem statement for which he is ready to pay me 100 rupees or 10 rupees, whatever that is. So he basically made a statement that if you can give me a solution for this, I'll give you some money. Now, getting money is extremely important because that's the petrol, that's the fuel for your company. Money comes in, money goes out. You earn money, you pay salaries. So it goes out. But that engine has to be running. So if you want to build a successful company, first is you should find a problem for which people are ready to pay the money. As simple as that. If you look at any of the existing successful startups, like in B2C space, I mean, Uber, classical example, you guys probably do not know how the world was before Uber. When Uber was not there in existence, if I had to book a cab, I just couldn't, you know, I had to travel to that person, I have to talk to that person. I mean, I remember like when I had to, for my first journey outside of India, from I was staying in Aurangabad and I had to travel to Bombay, or Pune, I needed a cab. So I went to Ajanta Hotel. I tried to find out who are the cab providers there. And then I went to some other place. Phone was also scarce at that time. And then after talking with everybody, I booked somebody. And he promised me that he will show up next morning, which he did not. And then again, I had to run around to find another cab. So life was extremely difficult. Right now, if you ask me if Uber is worth paying 20 rupees more to get that convenience, I would definitely agree to it. However, that's my generation. In your generation, Uber is default. And maybe you see some problems with Uber and you want to make it better. So if you build the next generation cab aggregation platform, which is solving some problems of Uber for which people are ready to pay the money, then you should do it. However, start with the problem first rather than solution. So that would be my first clear-cut advice. Second most favorite thing is the KISS principle. I don't know how many guys know about this, but basically it's an acronym. Keep it simple, stupid. You know. So whatever solution is there, I mean, uh, dear stupid, please keep it simple. It should be so simple that the customer should be able to understand it. It should not create a hindrance into the customer's operations. I mean, uh, you can relate this to many things. I mean, the problem you want to solve, you have a solution, but the customer has to spend a lot of money to get that solution. I'll give you an example. For example, I showed you that vehicle what we built in Singapore, right? And I also told you that the customer has to pay 7 crore rupees today to get the same data what we generate from just a few thousand rupees device. Now imagine a scenario where all my customers have already bought that 7 crore rupees machine. Although I have a very good solution for them, what's the cost of replacement? They have to discard that 7 crore rupees machine to get my few lakhs rupees so that they can save money, which they will never because they have already spent 7 crore rupees. So this starts making things complicated if there are things like this. So the KISS principle is like whenever you are building something, I'll relate that to you. Let's say you want to build a website, something like Facebook. You want to create the next social networking website. The first thing that comes to mind is to list down all the features of Facebook and build those features into your system. That way, you are making your life complicated. You should first build the differentiator. Why should people use your software than Facebook? That's the differentiator what you should build. Keep it simple, get it validated, and then only go to the next stage. So I mean, take baby steps, in other words. The third and the last suggestion, and probably the most controversial one, is you should sell first and then build. Now, many people may not agree with me about this due to two reasons. First is for many technical brains, this sounds like dishonesty. I'm going to a customer and I'm telling a customer that I have XYZ product, which I want to sell to that person. How can I do that if I don't have the product? Right? That's a great mental block which even I have today. And that's why they say that you should ideally have two co-founders. One is looking at production and one is looking at sales and marketing. So sales and marketing guys don't care. I mean, they just go and sell. Technical guys do care about this a lot. But so that's the first fear as to how I can lie. And the second fear is if I get the order tomorrow, then how can I produce all that stuff to give to that person? Now, the thing to remember is, first of all, you are not lying. When somebody says they want to buy that thing from you, that's only the first stage. The entire sales process might take 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, because when they say that, okay, they want to buy it from you, they are showing their interest. They have still not taken the money out of their pocket and transferred it into your account. Even if they do, you can still get some additional time to deliver. So I have got the order, but I have not built the thing is a good problem to have, as we call it. I have built something, but I don't have the order is a very bad problem to have. So compared to that, you should first go, you should check out. And this is a dance, you know. I mean, you may want to build some prototypes first, show to the customer prototype. Or when customer says, okay, I want to buy 10 pieces of your IoT device, when can you deliver it? You can say, I'll deliver that in 3 months. And then in 3 months, when you have the order in hand, some advance, you can go out and build it very easily. So then your life will be much easier. So sell first, then build. Essentially, get the customer validation done. Lot many people say, like whenever you come up with a new idea, lot many people say that, oh, that's fantastic. I would definitely buy it. But saying this versus taking the 100 rupees out of their pocket, there is a big gap in between. And you have to cross that gap before investing your own time and money into building that stuff. So I hope that helps a little. And I mean, I think it will be more interactive if I can get more questions. Depending on the format, I think Ambire sir, please suggest if we can open the microphone for questions, or you can put them into the chat box. Would love to interact with you guys. However, there is one still last slide. You know, there is a common saying that never have the thank you slide as your last slide. So there is one last slide. Uh, we as roadbounds are always looking for brilliant people for their projects, interns, hires, whatever it is. You know, if you if you believe in the story what we believe in, and if you want to be part of our journey, I using this platform, I definitely welcome you to at least drop us an email with your CV, with your interest, and wherever possible, I mean, we would love to get you on our board, and we can work together to build something fantastic. So yeah, so that was the true end slide of my presentation, and open for questions now.
I'll request all the students present. They can ask any question because you have a very interesting guest today with us. Who has gone through this roller coaster ride. I'm sure he'll be able to answer all your questions. Please go ahead.
Raise your questions. You can type in the chat box or you can unmute yourself and ask the questions. That is also great. Sir, meanwhile, can I ask something?
Sure, please.
Yeah, what did you do on stress management and psychological analysis? That part you didn't show in the presentation, I guess.
Yeah, so that was my second startup, which
Yeah.
I'm obviously not very proud of from only 100. But essentially, so we were, so at that time, I mean, okay, so this Iran and Iraq war that created many casualties for American force, and lot of these soldiers, like when they come back to the states, and the state tries to accommodate them into the society. So they have seen murders, they have seen death of their friends, and sometimes they have psychological issues. So there is kind of a assessment
थोडासा आवाजाचा
which
प्रॉब्लेम येतोय.
Hmm.
एक मिनिट व्हिडिओ बंद करते मी कदाचित बँडविड्थ लागते जास्ती.
Hey, madam, I'm getting a clear voice sound.
हो का? मग माझ्याकडे अडचण असेल सर इंटरनेटची.
Yes.
हा ओके सर. प्लीज कंटिन्यू सर.
हाँ, सैनिक क्या है, आपने यहाँ पे माजी सैनिक क्या करता है तो एक गाली निकाल के बैठता है, right? Unfortunately, I mean that's the condition in India. We should do something better. US में they give some better treatment, but these people they have seen deaths, they have seen bad things, so they may develop some psychological issues. So there are certain questionnaires, certain mental health assessment tests which need to be performed onto them, kind of a question answer session to identify if this person has suicidal thoughts, if this person has PTSD. So this is the business problem that US government developed many years ago. and they developed it on a platform which predates COBOL. So COBOL के पहले वाला system है. And the thing has got so complicated that now they can't really just replace that technology platform. So we built a solution where we facilitated this assessment using mobile apps, but we integrated the mobile apps into their age-old software platform without any hindrance into their existing process. So technically, it was a fantastic solution, and they actually used it in San Diego. However, business-wise, we could not scale it because it was working with government, so we couldn't scale it. And then one fine day, we realized कि boss अपना पैसा ही खत्म हो गया, अभी क्या करना है? So then we shut it down.
Okay. But actually, that was nice product for routine psychiatric or psychology patients also.
Yes.
Not only on the soldier side after war or something. Routinely also now everyone is stressed, so can have that. I guess so. But that didn't.
Yeah.
No.
The question is who will pay for it and why?
Yeah,
As I mentioned in my first 3 slides. So
yeah.
as long as there is a buyer, anything can be built.
Perfect. So
There is a question on the chat box, sir. We said, please, will you please elaborate on sell first and build later?
Yeah. This is from Mr. Subodh, right? Yeah, I have kind of elaborated this already, but let me try to give you an example. Like one of the exercise what we did. Like initially, when we thought of road bounds, we did an exercise where, first idea of road bounds was that we will build an app which will give you alerts for potholes. Okay. And you as a user, fantastic idea. So everybody thought that's a really cool idea. We had the technology ready. And अभी क्या करना है? अभी just app बनाने का है और launch करने का है Play Store पे. But that is going to cost us at least 2-3 months, some thousand rupees, some lakh rupees in salary. So before that, what is the market validation? What I'm doing? What we did was we went onto the road and we told people और उनको ऐसा लगा कि सर मेरे एक ऐसा ऐप है जो आपको पोर्टल का अलर्ट देगा. I can give that app to you right now for 1 rupee. तो आप मुझे 1 रुपया दोगे क्या ये ऐप इंस्टॉल करने के लिए? Okay. There are 2-3 things happening here. First thing is I'm talking with a stranger, so they don't have an idea of who I am, and I don't have an idea of who they are. Secondly, I am asking them for real money. तो मुझे 1 रुपया चाहिए अभी, right? And third is I'm clearly telling them what app I have built for them, what is in it for them. Surprisingly, 50%, more than 50% of the people basically said that they won't give 1 rupee to us क्योंकि मुझे तो पता है ना गड्ढे कहाँ पे. And even if you look at my Shark Tank video, there also one of the judges said the same thing. कि गड्ढा है तो क्या होगा? उसमें से निकल जाएंगे. So that means it's not really a problem for them for which they will pay us any money. तो अगर मैं ये सेल करने के लिए नहीं जाता था, पहले अगर मैं ये बिल्ड करने के लिए बैठ जाता था, तो I would have wasted 3 months of my life and everybody else's life. So that's the thing behind that statement. And it applies at either. Maybe you have one level of product built already. You are talking about second version. So you pitch for that version. You try to get the order. Order मिलने के बाद आप उसको build करो कुछ project.
Some student has asked, suggest some books for learning about business and startup in the chat box.
There is a question about does any startup require any government permission in initial phase? अच्छा books का भी है पहले. ठीक है, I'll answer this government thing first. Okay, so देखो इसमें 2-3 चीजें हैं. First of all, you need to understand कि आपका startup क्या है. There are 2-3 different parameters what you should consider. First, are you selling a product or are you selling a service? These are 2 major distinctions. Product मतलब क्या कि any like wooden toothbrush. I mean, that's a new product. So that product I'm selling. Service matlab kya? Uber, right? So Uber is a service. So I'm selling the service. So there is already some transaction happening. उसमें से मैं मेरा fees लेने वाला हूँ. So you first need to understand कि आपका business model क्या है, product है या service है. First step. Secondly, you have to understand who are your customers. Is it B2C, मतलब business to consumer, मतलब जिसको मैं मैगी बेच सकता हूँ, उसको मैं कल मेरा प्रोडक्ट बेच सकता हूँ. So that would be a definition of B2C. Is it a B2B, business to business, कि जिसको like there are transactions happening between two companies and I am a third company, so I will deal directly with the company. I will not deal directly with the end user. So that's B2B. And then third is B2G, that whatever model I have built is usable only by government. So I have to apply for government tenders. I have to apply for, I have to sell this to government, which is a very highly advisable. You should not go into B2G at such young age because it takes a lot of courage, a lot of money. We have suffered through that. Not many people told me to not go into B2G. And we have learned our own mistakes, and that's a separate topic for discussion. So, coming back to your question, does any startup require any government permission in initial phase? To exist, no, right? I mean, you can just register a company, you can call yourself a startup, so you don't need nothing. However, if you want your startup to be authorized for any government grants or incubation centers or anything, I mean, like because right now there is a big national push about startups. So government is spending a lot of money to support the startups. So if you want to get that support, then you have to do some additional registrations on top of your normal company registration. One of the mandatory registration is the Startup India registration. So it is provided by DIPP, Department of Industrial Promotion and something. So you should get the DIPP certification. That way you will be an authorized, recognized startup. And then depending on what you are selling, you might need some additional permissions. For instance, if you are selling drones, then maybe you want to find out like what are the permissions needed by Government of India so that you can sell the drones. So that depends on your product. So just to exist as a business, you don't need anything. To get government support, DIPP registration, MSME registration, maybe, and any other registration. I'm sure your incubation center will advise you about that. And to sell the product, any product specific registration. These are the three levels. I know many people who have just started a company. They moved to US. I mean, they could sell, so they did not need any support from anybody. So they never registered with Startup India, which was fine. Right. I'll go to that. I hope I answered your question. Please suggest some books for learning about business and startup. I can't really do that. There are some very, very good books. I can probably suggest this offline. I have bought so many books, but I never read them, unfortunately, in last few years because I was so busy in actually doing the things. So I mean, just go to Amazon. Unfortunately, this is a question I cannot help with. Go to Amazon, search on startup books, and see the bestsellers. I'm sure whatever you find will be the best ones. But again, there is a very famous saying that what is worse than trying out your idea and failing is not trying out. So if you have some idea, you try it out. And there are very cheap and easy ways to try it out. Like I said, sell first and build later. The next question is, what if you have a great innovation idea, but maybe the world is not ready for it? So what's your solution or suggestion for it? Or should we wait for the right time? Buddy, we are very, very small and cockroach to think about something like this. We don't know what the world is ready for. And whatever we guess, see, we cannot see our future beyond 5 years. We cannot see our geography beyond 10, 20 kilometers. So we are very small to think about this. Which is the only thing So the only way to decide whether you should proceed or not is to try it out. You go to a customer, first of all, you have a great innovative idea, fine. But if you remember my first point, what business problem is it solving? Is it making my life faster, better, or cheaper? If you can tick all three, then you have the best solution. So your idea is great, but don't have a solution which is looking for a problem. Start with a problem which can be solved with your idea. Then, second step is find a person who is ready to pay for that solution if you solve this problem for that person. Once you get the money in your pocket, then claim that you have a great innovation idea which can be scaled. Until that point, you might be wrong. You know, so just try it out. Don't sit on that idea. I mean, you should start doing it tomorrow if you have something fantastic. Okay. Any more questions, please?
Sir, did you? I mean, it's little question little away from what we discussed. You got the sponsor from the Shark Tank?
Yes, I did.
Oh, that's great. I didn't see your video. Now I'll see that. Okay.
Yeah. So Mr. Piyush Bansal from Lenskart, he is
Mm.
interested in investing into us.
Mm.
We got the on-screen commitment. I can't really talk about all the things because of the NDA and everything. But yeah, so we are discussing that right now.
Mm.
But I mean, basically the thing is, again, this can take us back to the original slide that for many people, or many from the young generation, success for a startup means getting funding, which is totally wrong. Totally, absolutely wrong. Ideally, you should not need funding for your startup. Well, you may need something to start with. I mean, like we say कि ठीक है मेरे पास आइडिया है और मेरे पास 10 रुपए है तो अब मैं क्या करूं? Find like-minded people, do it for free as much as possible. अगर पैसा नहीं है तो try to get it from your friends and family, which you can return back without any obligation in the future. That's the way to start about it. Never ever build a startup so that you can get funding. Because once you get funding, you are on a treadmill. Then you are always running for the next round of funding. You are with only 2% equity, and they own 98% of the equity. So that's really not a preferred way to start with.
Mhm.
So that may also
Sir,
mean that we may or may not take the investment. Yes, ma'am.
sir, I would like to ask another question. Like nowadays, is it that the app-based or software-based startups are mushrooming? I mean, as compared to the hardware setups? What is your observation? I didn't know.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, because that has created a new ecosystem, right? I mean, if you look at traditional businesses, the cost of owning the inventory, the cost of distribution, the
Mm.
cost of everything is eliminated. If your goods are goods, the cost of creating copies, all
Mm.
these are concerns for the manufacturing industry, but these are not the concerns for distribution of goods.
Mm.
So that's why if you can solve some problem with the digital goods, then you have a really scalable business.
Mm. It's
I
very true.
mean, well, yeah. So that's the reason why it's mushrooming. And secondly, people have facilitated that ecosystem so much that anybody can build an app
Mm.
today.
Mm. Individual
So
also.
people are trying.
Mm.
So and again, what they miss is building the app is easy, building a business is difficult. Unless and
Mm.
until you don't have the business mindset to the thing, it's just a few months or few years game, and then you are going to shut down,
Mm.
and then you are going to fire 4,000 people from your company, just like how Better.com did last.
Okay.
yesterday.
It's very true. Any questions from students? Students, you can discuss something or you can raise the queries.
Yeah, I think all of them are sleeping. If you
No,
are
no.
awake and if you don't want to,
They are awake.
no, I mean,
Show
if the chat box is
some.
too complex, if the chat box is too complex, you can unmute yourself and ask the question
Yeah,
also.
yeah, that is what my appeal is. You can ask questions, students. Okay.
I think that is all from the student side also.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, then, sir.
Okay. Yeah, there is one question here.
No, no.
Okay, so I got one question about software. What are software side in your startup for internship? We work on a lot of different platforms, like as you saw. Like the technology stack is we do Angular JS, Java, Core C++, IoT hardware development, mobile development using native Android and Flutter. So these are the technologies in use right now. We use Google Map navigation APIs and third-party APIs very extensively. We work with BigQuery for large data storage and retrieval. Uh, and we will be working on some more as well. So really, in a startup world, I think the developers are trained to get switched across different technology platforms. It's not like I am a Java developer and I want to remain a Java developer. It doesn't work like that. We work on the business problems and the best technologies out there, we pick it up and we work on it. So that's the culture.
Sir, I have one more.
Please, ma'am.
Yes. Sir, where is your startup? I mean, can our student visit you? Is it in India?
Absolutely, we are based out of Baner, and I also encourage you to come here. You can check it on the like on Roadbound's website, you will see a reference to a name of company called Definitics. So Definitics is the name of the company. Roadbounds is the product. What
Okay. Okay.
and anytime check the Definitics address, come down here, or you can communicate with me through email. I mean, Ambire sir and ma'am, you can advise the best. I mean, if anybody is interested in doing project work or internship, what should be the right way for them to reach out to us?
Yeah.
Maybe it can to you or whatever.
Okay. Sir, another avenue which I wanted to discuss with you, what will you suggest that we should include in the curriculum so that the students are motivated to become like you?
But don't become become better than me. But I mean, I remember when I was doing my first startup, I had created a office in Aurangabad, right? And at that time, okay, somebody is doing like this on the chat box. So at that time, I was invited of the and so I made it a point that all the guys should learn at least the open source stack initially. So whenever they are building basic website and everything. But that's like 20 years ago. I don't know what the current situation is. I don't know what your current curriculum is. But having doing something with open source, using it and contributing for it will be a great thing to have in your curriculum. But I mean, I can tell you from a recruiter perspective. So when I interview interns, then I know that these people do not have the industry experience. I cannot take an AngularJS interview with an intern who has probably just done one course in AngularJS. So what I look for is what's the mental capacity of this person? Does he or she at least do coding, right? Which is the basic necessity of the job. So what's your technical expertise in doing coding? And then have you proved that in your career so far? ठीक है मुझे कॉलेज ने नहीं सिखाया बट लेकिन मैंने मेरा मेरा दो ऐप बना के प्ले स्टोर पे डाल दिया या आई बिल्ड दिस वेबसाइट व्हिच आई कैन डेमोन्स्ट्रेट और दिस इज द प्रोजेक्ट एंड आई कैन टेल यू एनीथिंग अबाउट दिस प्रोजेक्ट these are the confidence points what we look for when we recruit from freshers so sorry I got a little bit carried away but I think your question was along the same
Yes,
line
yes.
and
Yes.
I can probably comment on the curriculum much better if I see the current curriculum.
Okay. Maybe we can mail you later on.
Yes,
I'll get the mail ID from Ambire sir and we can do. Sir, another point of discussion with me is like we have some idea pitching workshop for students and their proposals to work upon the product. So we need to validate. So can we involve you for validating their ideas?
Sure. I mean, I can please have me as one of the panel members.
Yeah.
Because I'm guessing that some of the ideas might be from other domains as well, engineering domain, automobile domain.
Okay.
But surely I can help wherever I can.
Mm-hmm. And is there any another last from my side, sir? Sorry to trouble you a lot, but your field is so interesting. I could not resist myself in asking and continuing bombarding my questions on you. The last from me is, can you suggest some problem statements for students' project, not for not per se for startup or prototype or something, but some avenue with you to work as their project, or in the last semester they can work on project going elsewhere other than college premises. That is possible, or some project ideas if you can share with the students. We'll be happy to be connected with you for that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. We constantly have new things happening here, and we do a lot of R&D work. So yes, I can share a few ideas with you later on. I mean, like one of the things what we are working on, as I mentioned, we want to build an OBD connector to a vehicle, which can run the road-bound software and it can capture the vehicle vibration data, right? So anybody who is interested in working with OBD ports or ECU data, they have some experience, some past background in that. I mean, that's something what we have going on right now. So if there is something, you just let me know. And for other projects, we can be in touch. I mean, I can keep you posted on what we are doing.
Great. Thank you, sir. Ambire sir, over to you.
I think we'll stop here with your permission, ma'am.
Yes, by all means.
Yes.
Just I have one announcement for students. Students, there is a feedback form in the chat window. Everyone is requested to complete that feedback. Don't leave the meeting without completing the feedback form. All students, click on the link. You will get the feedback form. Please do that before leaving the meeting. Thank you. Ambire sir, continue please.
Yes. It has been really an honor to be a part of this wonderful event. On behalf of Government College of Engineering, Aurangabad, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our esteemed guest, Mr. Ranjit Deshmukh. Thank you, sir. Sincere thanks to Ratna Parke ma'am for giving me an opportunity to coordinate this event. A wide round of applause and thanks to all the coordinators who have made this event a memorable one. I would also like to thank our head of the department, Dr. Nikalje sir, for allowing me to coordinate this program. Finally, I would like to thank all of you present here for making the time to be with us today and helping us to make this event a grand success. Thank you one and all. Thank you very much.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Yes. We can close the meeting now. Yes. Zoha, you can close the meeting. I think everyone has completed the feedback form. फीडबॅक भरून झाला असेल तर जाऊ शकता. जो आपण मीटिंग एंड करूया, घेतला असेल मुलांनी लिंक.